In this video, we're going to show you how you can shave up to 5 shots off your score by hitting better, longer and straighter iron shots, and you don't even have to change that much in your game. Hi everyone, my name's James Robinson. Welcome back to Get Good at Golf. Right, so in today's video, how can we save 5 shots? Because 5 shots is a lot, and it's actually very doable if you just hit a few more greens, because most people will lose shots because they have a very, very long putt, they end up 3-putting, 4-putting, or you just miss the green and your short game isn't in fact that good. So if we can hit more greens by having a much more stable club face, that's a fantastic way of lowering your scores. It's a little bit of a chain method. Hit it closer to the flag, have less putts, have less shots, lower your handicap, get good at golf. So what we see so often is people who flip the club over a little bit too much, so you get to the top of the backswing and the club face doesn't really know what it's doing on the way down here at all. It can still be wide open here, and then bang, you flip the hands over. That's actually how a lot of people used to be taught how to play golf back in the day. You would make sure that you square the hands up and you keep flipping them over, and you would try and play a bit of a draw or a fade depending if you were to hold the club off or not. When in actual fact what we want to be doing here is making sure that on the way back we keep this left arm nice and connected, and when you take the club away here with the shoulders, where is that club face pointing? It's not pointing at the ball, it's not pointing straight in front of me. The actual leading edge is matched up to my spine angle here, so that means that if I turn my chest back through to the ball, guess what? It is square to the target line, so I'm always going to hit pretty straight golf shots as long as your swing path is there or thereabouts. So the key here is to have that club face as square to the arc as long as possible. What you don't want to be doing is thinking, I know what I need to do here. I need to keep that club face as square to the ball as long as possible. Obviously that club face is now shut. If I were to turn the shoulders there, that club face is close to the target, and if I were to fan the club open, which I've done in the past and lots of golfers tend to do, if I now turn the shoulders and the chest onto it, the club face is wide open, so it can literally go anywhere depending on how you manipulate that club, depending on how you can release the club, and it can be chaos, to be absolutely honest with you. So if I get behind this ball now and I think, right, what is my key move to make sure I keep this club face square at all times? So I know I want to keep that left shoulder connected. I know I don't want to move it back with the arms and the hands. I want to move it back with the chest and the shoulders, and I want to make sure that the butt of the club's kind of pointing just towards my left hip or just past my left hip here. I don't want it down the target line, because if the club's down the target line, then the club face is going to be open. It wants to be just with the club outside the hands here, which is a nice place to be. From there I can work on setting the club up. The Golf Pride or the Lambkin or whatever logo you have on your grip points towards your shoulder, and from there I can load up to the top of the backswing. The club face is still square the entire time, and as I work my way back down, you'll see that club face gets put into what we call the delivery position. Now the delivery position is a position where it's not childbirth, where you lay back and I've experienced that. This is a much more simple position, I promise you that. So once you're in the delivery position here, it's very similar to this position, which is the takeaway position, the move away position, as David Ledbetter would say. So from there, load up to the top, move down, get your sequencing correct to get into the delivery position. So your sequencing wants to be from the ground up. You want to move your legs, you want to move your hips, your torso, your shoulders, your chest, then your arms, and then the club's here in that delivery position. Now what do I have to move then to square that club face up to the ball? Anybody? Questions in the comments? Nothing, because it's already square to the arc, and that's the beauty of it. So if I were to do this, you'll see nice and square, nice and square, nice and square, impact. Yes, the handle is forward. I've got a little bit of forward shaft lean compared to my address position because my hips are rotated. I've got on my left side a little bit more, and I'm now going to compress that ball into the turf with a lovely square club face. Now, because I've done all this correct, my swing path should be around neutral. You might be a little bit outside, you might be a little bit inside, but you've got a lovely square club face. So you're generally going to hit shots like this one, and all you want to do is make sure that you have just that little bit of a preset routine, thinking, yep, is that right? Is that right? Yep. Okay, let's get it. Nice square face. And you can see there, lovely high towering straight mid-iron shot. That should help you take shots off your game, and that should ultimately help you hit better iron shots, lower your scores, and get good at golf. Guys, Chris is now going to throw a drill at us that can really, really help you do this without changing too much, without spending hours and hours and hours at the driving range, because that could be key to helping you improve.
So we now need a drill for on the driving range. So yes, James has talked about it. We want to be able to compress these irons and we have to get the correct sequence. And a lot of people do practice that takeaway move, and then from here, this is when sometimes people start to lift up and out of it and then they don't know how to get back to the golf ball. And what we see a lot of times with people with irons is, like James mentioned, is coming back into impact in this kind of position. So adding loft, we're trying to scoop it off there. Your 6 iron goes the same distance as your 7 iron, and that's because we aren't compressing that golf ball. So obviously we need to have the correct setup, we need to have the right ball position with each club, which we have gone through on the channel. We need to get that stance width correct and consistent. Also, one big thing we don't see is this left foot turned out, and you will see a lot of pros do this now. This just really helps us rotate, because obviously to get this club to have a little bit of forward shaft lean and get into that strong position there where we can pressure the ball, this hip has to be turning. If we get too square, what we start to see is people do that motion. They start to slide, they then start to try and cast the club and try and get back to the ball. Again, we'll have a little bit of hand-eye coordination. We might catch it a couple of times good, one time it'll go left, one time it's going to go 40 yards shorter than what we want it to do. So obviously for a drill, we want to get a good takeaway. So yes, we want to do that. We want to have that movement that James mentioned. So we want to feel that it's my chest and the club working together to get that matching my spine angle. But then what I want you to do is then turn your focus down to impact. So I want you to do the motions, go up to the top, and then bring it down into this position here. So you'll see here, this is a very important position. You'll see that my right arm is nice and tucked and connected to my chest. That club is still matching my spine. And then from here, all I've got to do is rotate. Now this left foot is turned out, and I can easily get into that position. But it's very hard if we're doing it all as a swing. So what I want you to do is do a swing up to the top, bring it down to delivery, and then up, and start to hit that ball. You'll see there I took a nice divot. You'll see that is exactly on line of where I wanted. I've compressed the ball, but I've preset my impact position. So I've got that feel of my impact. I've been able to go, right, that's where I want to get the club, and then from there all I need to do is turn. And from there, guys, if you can do that drill on the driving range, it's going to help you get into impact. James has told you how to make a good move away, and that's going to help you get good at golf.